And we're live.
Countdown.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Roll call.
Councilmember Bowman,
Present.
Councilmember Farrelletto,
Here.
Councilmember Golumback,
Here.
Councilmember Nowakowski,
Present.
Council President Pridgen,
Here.
Majority Leader Rivera,
Present.
President Pro Tem Scanlon,
Present.
Councilmember Wingo,
Present.
Councilmember Wyatt.
Here.
Quorum is present.
All right, let me stand for the pledge. Thank you. Our chaplain, the Reverend Dr. Al Warner.
Thank you, Council President. It's a joy and a privilege today to welcome to pray for us at Christmas week. A friend of many on the council and certainly a friend of Buffalo, Reverend Dr. William Gillison, Mount Olive Baptist Church. I made the mistake. I know that most of you know Pastor Gillison and the father he is to the region. I made the mistake of looking up Pastor's bio. We don't have enough time on this Zoom call for me to tell you everything this senior father and saint has done well beyond the region. Let me give you a couple of highlights. He came to Mount Olive Baptist Church June 1981. So that would be the last century that he got here. In 1994, led God's people into its present $3 million home around the corner from ECMC. Sanctuary seats approximately 1,200 persons and has a chapel overflow, 16 classrooms, and an all-purpose hall for lectures and dining. In December 2001, he paid off the 20-year mortgage just 6 years into that experiment. Wouldn't we like for the city of Buffalo to have that same kind of favor moving forward? He is the founder and president of the Mount Olive Development Corporation, founded in '91, moderator of the Great Lakes Baptist Association and Association of Churches throughout Western New York, and has led many times the Baptist Ministers Conference that many of you are well familiar with. In addition to that, I think Pastor Gillison hopefully would say, we are friends. I count him as one of my personal friends and certainly a friend of the city. Pastor Gillison, thank you for gracing and blessing us with your presence and prayer today.
Thank you so very, very much, Reverend Warner, and the check's in the mail. I'd like to say good afternoon to all of you, certainly to our Honorable President, President Pridgen, to all of the honorable members of this distinguished council. And before I share a word with you today, I would like to just say to each and every one of you that just like I am very much aware of some of the challenges that you face in this day and time, and I'm not the only one. Many of the citizens of this city appreciate so very, very much what you do. It doesn't always sound like it, but we want to let you know that we're so appreciative of how you handle the business of the city. And people don't always agree with us, and when you're in leadership, and we know that, but each one of you have come to the place where you are in this season because God has equipped you to handle the business that you do on a daily basis. And so I, again, thank each and every one of you for what you do. And as we go into this season of uncertainty, I do pray that God will bless each and every one of you throughout this season, not only during this Christmas season, but throughout the coming year, to continue to do the fantastic job that all of you have done with the conditions that you've had to deal with, which are most unusual, a time like never before. There's a short verse that I just wanted to read, and from the 27th Psalm, and it just says that the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is my strength of my life, and whom shall I be afraid? Heavenly Father, we come at this appointed time with great excitement and anticipation because you've given us another day. We thank you, oh God, for these men and women who have served so faithfully in various responsibilities of not only of our city, but God, that you have blessed them to be able to handle business in a most unusual time. I ask, oh God, that you would crown their head with wisdom, knowledge, understanding. We pray that individually you would touch each one of them to unify themselves and those things which will be a blessing to others. We are so grateful, oh God, that you have moved in such a way that even in this pandemic era, you still have allowed us to prosper as a city. And God, as we go forth, we pray, Lord, for this council, that you would move in such a way in each one of their lives that others will look upon our city and want to duplicate what was going on in the city of Buffalo because of the leadership of these men and women. We are so grateful. We ask God's blessing upon not only you, but your families. It's in your name, in the precious name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus the Christ. We pray a blessing upon each of you. Amen and amen. God
Thank
bless
you.
you. Thank you
Thank you,
for the
Dr.
privilege.
Gillison.
Thank you.
And
Thank you so much.
And Merry Christmas. And also to you, Dr. Warner, thank you for blessing us another year with your wisdom. God bless you both. Council members, memorials. Councilmember Golombek, and then Councilmember Bowman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Irene Lizars, matriarch in the Black Rock Grant Amherst neighborhood, passed away this past week. She's going to be very, very sorely missed by her family and friends at Assumption Church, her husband, Ray, her children, grandchildren, and so on. Wonderful, wonderful lady. I'm going to miss her as well. Also, John Shapaniak, former Buffalo school teacher. Margaret Shapaniak's father. Some of you might know Margaret from being active and involved in the West Hurdle neighborhood and in the North District. Sadly passed away from COVID a couple of weeks ago. And last but certainly not least, Anna Mae Moriarty is the mother of Marianne, who works for Lisa Shamera, my county legislator. Prior to that, she worked for Peter Savage and Lynn Marinelli, but her mom had been sick for quite some time, and you know, going to be very, very sorely missed by her family and her friends as well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Nowakowski, or Bowman, I think was next. Councilmember Bowman.
Thank you. I wanted to take a moment to remember the life of my friend Angelo LeBruno, who passed unexpectedly last week. Angelo was a resident of the Lovejoy neighborhood majority of his life, and when he grew up, he bought a house in the Kaisertown neighborhood, also in my district. Angelo was a great father, husband, and friend, and you know, he's going to be sorely missed. He was a huge Bills fan. He always would go tailgating in this huge trailer, and it had a huge Bills logo. So we shared a lot of great memories. He's going to be sorely missed, and my condolences are with his family members and all of our friends who are grieving. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Nowakowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to place the name of Ezekiel Ruiz, who was a constituent of the North District. He was a wonderful man. He was a Spanish teacher at Grover Cleveland High School and a Navy veteran, joining in his late 30s. He was an active cook, avid dancer of salsa, and just a wonderful, great friend and man to everybody. And there's going to be a large hole in my friend group, and I know in the Buffalo community. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Wyatt.
Hey, thank you, Mr. President. I just want to ask for the prayers of a family friend, but I call her my Auntie Frankie Bullitt. She passed of COVID, and my mom is taking it pretty hard, and her family is taking it as well. So I'm praying for her sister Christine, her husband Herb, and her daughter Tamika. Christmas time is a time of celebration, but unfortunately, death still happens. So please keep them in your prayers during this time. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Councilmember Scanlon.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to ask that we keep in our thoughts and our prayers the soul of and the family of Jerry Sullivan. Jerry was a retired Buffalo firefighter and longtime owner of the long-running business Doc Sullivan's here in South Buffalo. And as much as you can say about Jerry, all the wonderful things you can say about him professionally, personally, I think one of the nicest things that you could say about him is just that he was a genuinely good guy. And everyone that I've spoken to over the course of the past few days after his passing has said the same thing, just, what a good guy. And he's going to be incredibly missed by his family and friends. So I'd like to keep him in our thoughts and prayers.
Sir, anyone else? We say farewell to keeping our hearts for Judge Jeanette Ogden, whose mother passed. Judge Ogden married into our family, so our mother is part of our family also. Marion McCarter. We also are remembering the family of Adrian Johnson, a usher at the church and one who served faithfully. And then, as Councilmember Wyatt brought up, Miss Frankie, who was a long time part of the church. And I said the other day, as the pastor of the church, there's only some people who can really just accept you as a regular guy. And Frankie did. She was a deaconess, sat on the front row, hollered at me when I didn't have on my hat, and all those kind of things, but was at everything that our church did. And so she will be missed. We always remember those who have given their life since our last meeting for the freedom of our country and for the freedom of others around the world. We pause in these chambers for a moment of silence. Thank you. On a motion by Mr. Revere, seconded by Mr. Scanlon, the minutes of the stated meeting held on December 8th, 2020 are approved. Council members, you have the late files before you. Are there any objections to any of the late files that are before you? Hearing no objections to the late files, we will hear the agenda in its entirety. This does not take away your right to pause the meeting if you need to review something that you have not had the chance to. Majority Leader, are we going from the top?
From the top.
From the top.
Item number 1, Broadway Bill Pay Printing and Design Broadway Market Lease.
Motion to approve items 1 and 2.
Second by Councilmember Wyatt.
Councilmember
President?
Bowman.
Councilmember Gullumbeck.
On the item in regards to Buffalo State College, I have to request to be able to abstain from that vote. I spoke to Mr. Ball, and as a faculty member at Buffalo State College, we just want to make sure that there's no possibility of impropriety on my part. So I'd like to request to abstain on, I think it's item number 2, the Dart Street vote.
I don't have the agenda in front of me. I'm sorry. Hold on a second. Yes, item number 2. Moved by Councilmember Wyatt, second by Councilmember Fioletto to recuse Councilmember Gullumbeck for stated reasons.
Thank you.
Okay, roll call on the vote.
Councilmember Bowman.
Yes.
Councilmember Farrelletto.
Yes.
Councilmember Golumback.
Yes on item number 3,
On item number 1.
or item number 1, I'm sorry, yes.
Councilmember Noakowski.
Yes.
Council President Pridgen.
Yes.
Councilmember Rivera.
Yes.
Councilmember Scanlon.
Yes.
Councilmember Wingo.
Yes.
Councilmember Wyatt.
Yes.
Item number 3, DDA extension for 321 Olympic.
Motion to send to CD.
Second by Councilmember Wingo.
Item number 4, DDA extension for 179 Sanders.
Motion to approve.
second by Council Member Scanlon.
Councilmember Bowman,
Yes.
Councilmember Farrelletto, Councilmember Golumback,
Yes.
Councilmember Noakowski,
Yes.
Council President Pridgen,
Yes.
Councilmember Rivera,
Yes.
Councilmember Scanlon,
Yes.
Councilmember Wingo, Councilmember Wyatt.
Yes.
Item number 5, designated developer agreement, Mount Airon, heart of the city.
Motion to send to CD.
Second by Council Member Noakowski.
Item number 6, extend DDA 1349 Broadway.
Motion to approve items 6, 7, and 8.
Second by Council Member Bowman.
Councilmember Bowman,
Yes.
Councilmember Farrelletto,
Yes.
Councilmember Golumback,
Yes.
Councilmember Noakowski,
Yes.
Council President Pridgen,
Yes.
Councilmember Rivera,
Yes.
Councilmember Scanlon,
Yes.
Councilmember Wingo,
Yes.
Councilmember Wyatt.
Yes.
Item number 9, report of sale 23 Grider.
Motion to send to CD.
Second by
Items 9 and 10.
9 and 10 to CDs, and 11.
11.
9, 10, and 11 to CDs, second by Councilmember Golumback.
Item number 12, Apollo Media Center removal and installation of security cameras.
Motion to send to finance items 12 through 15.
Second by Councilmember Farrelletto.
Item 16, notification serials.
Motion to receive and file.
Second by Councilmember Farrelletto.
Item 17, change order East Delavan ADA.
Motion to approve items 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and
Up to item number 24. I need to be recused from item number 18 because I was involved in the fundraising efforts to build the city mission. So that would be moved by our majority leader and second by Councilmember Wyatt for the recusal. Roll call. Oh, I'm sorry. And then we move the item and the item is seconded by Councilmember Scanlon, all of those items.
Councilmember Bowman,
Yes.
Councilmember Farrelletto,
Yes.
Councilmember Golumback,
Yes.
Councilmember Noakowski,
Yes.
Council President Pridgen,
Yes.
Councilmember Rivera,
yes.
Councilmember Scanlon,
Yes.
Councilmember Wingo,
Yes.
Councilmember Wyatt.
Yes.
Item 25, appoint fire captain.
Motion to send to civil service items 25 and 26.
Second by President Pro Tem Scanlon.
Item 27, 2020 food store license renewals.
Motion to send legislation items 27 and 28
And 29.
and 29.
Second by Councilmember Wyatt.
Item 30, food store license 280 grant.
Motion to approve items 30, 31. Can you scroll up? That's it.
Second by Councilmember Bowman.
Councilmember Bowman,
Yes.
Councilmember Farrelletto,
Yes.
Councilmember Golumback,
Yes.
Councilmember Noakowski,
Yes.
Council President Pridgen,
Yes.
Councilmember Rivera,
Yes.
Councilmember Scanlon,
Yes.
Councilmember Wingo,
Yes.
Councilmember Wyatt.
Yes.
Item 32, liquor license notices.
Motion to receive and file items 32 through 34.
Second by Councilmember Bowman.
Item 35, notices of appointment, temporary, provisional, permanent.
Motion to send to civil service items 35, 36.
Second by Councilmember Golumback.
Item 37, notice of appointment, council intern.
Motion to adopt.
Second by Councilmember Noakowski.
Item 38, unlicensed wholesale real estate.
Motion to send to CD items 38 and 39.
second by Councilmember Fairland.
Item 40, right to know law proposal.
Motion to send legislation.
Second by Councilmember Fairland.
Item 41, committee meeting transcriptions.
Motion to receive and file items 41 and 42.
Second by Councilmember Nowak.
Item 43, serving halal breakfast and lunch options.
Motion to send to Education Committee.
Second by Councilmember Bowman.
Item 44, unconditional restriction on open container law.
Motion to send to legislation.
Second by President Pro Tem Scanlon.
Submissions list, civil service. Notices, item number 1, notices of appointment, temporary, provisional, permanent.
Chairman. Chairman of Civil Service.
I was trying to unmute my computer here, get the right screen back up. Okay, so Civil Service motion is to receive and file items 1, 2, and 3.
Second by Councilmember Wyatt.
Finance, item number 4, fiscal year 2019 to 2020.
Motion to receive and file.
Second by Councilmember Delombra.
Item number 5, rescinding unissued bond resolutions.
Motion to approve.
Second by Councilmember Nowakowski.
Councilmember Bowman,
Yes.
Councilmember Farrelletto,
Yes.
Councilmember Golumback,
Yes.
Councilmember Noakowski,
Yes.
Council President Pridgen,
Yes.
Councilmember Rivera,
Yes.
Councilmember Scanlon,
Yes.
Councilmember Wingo,
Yes.
Councilmember Wyatt.
Yes.
Item number 6, letter to the comptroller.
Motion to receive and file.
Second by Councilmember Nowakowski.
Item number 7, permission to enter into an agreement with Duncan Solutions.
Motion to approve.
We're losing you a little bit, Chairman, but I think the motion to approve 7 and 8.
Yes.
Second by the Majority Leader Rivera.
Councilmember Bowman,
Yes.
Councilmember Farrelletto,
Yes.
Councilmember Golumback,
Yes.
Councilmember Noakowski,
Yes.
Council President Pridgen,
Yes.
Councilmember Rivera,
Yes.
Councilmember Scanlon,
Yes.
Councilmember Wingo,
Yes.
Councilmember Wyatt.
Yes.
Item 9, budget and bond sale recommendation.
Motion to receive and file.
Second by the Majority Leader Rivera.
Item 10, approval to purchase new police vehicles.
Motion to approve.
Second by Majority Leader Rivera.
Councilmember Bowman,
Yes.
Councilmember Farrelletto,
Yes.
Councilmember Golumback,
Yes.
Councilmember Noakowski,
Yes.
Council President Pridgen,
Yes.
Councilmember Rivera,
Yes.
Councilmember Scanlon,
Yes.
Councilmember Wingo,
Yes.
Councilmember Wyatt.
Yes.
Community Development, item number 11, Washington Apartment Pilot.
Motion is to approve.
Second by Councilmember Wyatt.
Councilmember Bowman,
Yes.
Councilmember Farrelletto,
Yes.
Councilmember Golumback,
Yes.
Councilmember Noakowski,
Yes.
Council President Pridgen,
Yes.
Councilmember Rivera,
Yes.
Councilmember Scanlon,
Yes.
Councilmember Wingo,
Yes.
Councilmember Wyatt.
Yes.
Legislation, item number 12, special use permit 1264 Hurdle for tavern and outdoor dining.
Motion to approve items 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 with conditions, 17 with conditions, and 18 with conditions.
Second by Councilmember Wyatt.
Councilmember Bowman,
Yes.
Councilmember Farrelletto,
Yes.
Councilmember Golumback,
Yes.
Councilmember Noakowski,
Yes.
Council President Pridgen,
Yes.
Councilmember Rivera,
Yes.
Councilmember Scanlon,
Yes.
Councilmember Wingo,
Yes.
Councilmember Wyatt.
Yes.
Item 19, special use 712 Elmwood.
Motion to receive and file items 19 through 22.
Second by Councilmember Gullumbeck.
Item 23, secondhand dealer 2186 Fillmore.
Motion is to approve items 23 and 24.
Second by Councilmember Wingo.
Councilmember Bowman,
Yes.
Councilmember Farrelletto,
Yes.
Councilmember Gullumbeck,
Yes.
Councilmember Noakowski,
Yes.
Council President Pridgen,
Yes.
Councilmember Rivera,
Yes.
Councilmember Scanlon,
Yes.
Councilmember Wingo,
Yes.
Councilmember Wyatt.
Yes.
Resolutions, item 45, appoint marriage officer.
Motion to adopt.
Second by Councilmember Gullumbeck.
Item 46, ordinance amendment, chapter 337, preservation code.
Motion to send legislation.
Second by Councilmember Noakowski.
Item 47, amendments to 2020-2021 council rules.
This is a late file. Council President,
Just being sent to the Rules Committee.
sent to the Rules Committee.
Second by Councilmember Wyatt.
Item 48, emergency placement of bollards for Niagara Square.
This item is open.
So this item is something that we have been dealing with for a while. I have been asking for ballards in front of around Niagara Square probably now for the last 6 years at least. We constantly see, and I can see from my window, cars utilizing that location as a parking lot. The news used to park there, news vehicles. We found space for the news in front of City Hall. So there is no need now for news vehicles to park in an area in which the city has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to redo and to redo. When people vandalized it this year, people park in it. As we saw recently, that people park in that area for many different reasons other than that which is allowed. I was promised years ago that this would occur and that that Public Works was looking into it. We recently just had a horrible accident, unfortunately, and I don't blame that accident on not having ballards. I want to be clear. That was an accident, total accident. At the end of the day, though, when we see that people continue to utilize this monument for a parking lot, I'm going now asking for it formally. I've written emails, I've had the conversations during budget times, done all of that. And so I'm asking for an adoption of this and to send the remainder to community development.
Motion to adopt the remainder to CD.
Second by Councilmember Noakowski.
Item 49,
Was that somebody needing to be? Okay.
item 49, request pause on operation of school zone cameras.
Back to the item. Motion to adopt the results, remainder to legislation.
Thank you. Second by Councilmember Wyatt. This item, just for clarification, because was asked yesterday by an agency, when we vote on this, what will be the result? There was a misunderstanding that this would put it into pause. What we were informed in our committee meetings last week is that the count by corporation, Assistant Corporation Counsel, is that the council does not have the authority to stop this program or even to put it on pause. What we were informed was that it would be up to the administration or it would be up to the administration to do that. What this resolution calls for is just that. It is a request of the administration to put this project on pause. I think that probably most council members have received many calls, and I know that one of my colleagues even has a list of some of the problems that have occurred in this rollout. I want to remind everybody that right now we only have one camera constantly active, and sometimes 2 or 3, depending on whether the private schools that they are near are open. My thought is, and part of the reason for us putting in this resolution for a pause, is if we're having this much problem when there are only 2, and most of the time 1 camera up, that would suggest to me that we are not ready for 20 cameras in February to go live if we can't get 1 or 2 cameras right. So this is a resolution asking the administration to immediately put this program on pause. I want to be clear, those of us who agree with this resolution also agree with safety. We voted for the legislation. We changed the legislation so that it was 2 hours before and 2 hours after. So we do agree on safety, but when you have people who are still receiving tickets and we are told that there are no fines, and then getting a ticket where the fine is suggested on there, that people could lose their registration or whatever else is said on it. My colleague has the details on it actually, then there's still a problem. And what we're told is that, there's higher compliance. Well, there's higher compliance, but there's still problems. So we still believe in school zones, think that the school zones should remain. The beacons can remain lit in the morning, but we would just ask that the program, as far as finding people right now, that be put on hold until these problems can be worked out, so the signs can be moved to a place where you are able to see them. Colleagues, any other comments? Councilmember Wingo.
I have a question for Corporation Counsel. I do understand the rollout of this program has many and quite a few unacceptable kinks in it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, no way around it. The program and it's just the spirit of the program is what we need in the city of Buffalo for the way folks use our streets and side streets as short expressways. It's absolutely needed. The program is needed. However, again, there are myriad concerns both from this council and from constituents regarding the implementation and execution of this program. I need to know though, because we've already signed off on this program, how we as a city are able to put this program on pause, and if there are any contractual repercussions or implications that we should and need to consider if the mayor should proceed and put this program on pause.
Thank you. Assistant Corporation Counsel Karen Gordon. At this moment, I don't think I have sufficient information to get into details to provide a detailed response on this. But like with any contracts out there, there might be some hiccups along the way if we were to pause this without properly going through the necessary channels, and probably without having discussions with the other party, considering the fact that the program is already up and running. But as I said, as it relates to specific repercussions, I don't know at the top of my head, and so I wouldn't want to give you answers that might be incorrect. I would prefer to look at it a little bit more, and the contract, of course, before I can say specifically either way. Thank you.
I believe one of the inherent problems that we've encountered with this program this year has been the inconsistency of the program, how the pandemic, COVID-19, has adversely impacted the implementation and execution of this program. Even though the weather is considered acts of God, how this program just has not been consistent from its inception. And I think that's one of the inherent problems that we are encountering with this program. And if we put this program on pause, it's going to further delay the consistency that's needed in order for people, I believe, to effectively change their behavior, even though we're achieving a 94% compliance rate. I believe that the lack of consistency in this program is going to further hurt the spirit of the program, which is trying to slow drivers down and to make our streets more safe. So with that said, Mr. Chair, I am going to ask to be recorded in the negative on this resolution, because I believe that we need to take a component out of this program, which would be the ticketing component, and continue with the program. But I don't think we need to put the program on a pause. If we can put the ticketing component aspect on pause, great. But the program itself, I believe we need to maintain a consistent program for drivers in order to be fair to everyone. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. Council Member Golombek, and then Farrelletto, and then Wyatt.
Thank you, Mr. President. I agree with much of what Mr. Wingo said. I do think that one of the biggest problems that we've had is that it's like ripping a Band-Aid off. Well, it seems like what we did was we tore it off, put it back on, tore it off again a little bit more, put it back on. And I think it was a perfect storm, unfortunately, that caused this with the pandemic and with all the other problems that have occurred over the past 9 months or so. That being said, I will vote yes on this, because I do think that, we need to figure out something to make it work. And as you said, Mr. President, with only a handful of cameras working right now, and with having as many complaints and problems as we've had, I think it's going to get worse before it does get better. I want to thank Ms. Gordon for her opining on whether we can or cannot do anything with this contract right now. I'm sure that if there is some sort of liability that the city's going to have, the mayor will take that into consideration. And the resolution, if I'm not mistaken, says, to consider, having this pause. It doesn't say that we must do it, because if there is a fiscal liability, I would not vote for it. My other concern is that if we were to pause this, and I get calls from residents, and in particular from the school organizations in my district and in the city of Buffalo, that constantly are asking for something to be done at the schools. My concern is that if we end up having police out there giving tickets, that instead of it just simply being a $50 fine, it's going to be a much higher fine. I think it opens up our constituency and others for worse than a $50 fine that can be much more easily taken care of by challenging it or working with Mr. Helfer or with us as council members. This was a little bit of a tough vote in a way because of all those different things, but ultimately, Mr. President, because you put down, it was asking the mayor to look at it, for the possibility of a pause, I'm willing to support it. But, I see the other problems too, as Mr. Wingo said, we need to iron these out, and I'm not sure if you can iron them out if it's on pause, so I would rather err on this side than not. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I believe Councilman Farrelletto was next.
Thank you very much, Council President. I know in committee, I listed off a number of issues that I brought up. I just wanted to mention one more specifically because I seem to be getting a lot of calls about this recently, and I also brought that up. There seems to be either a miscommunication or misunderstanding about late fees. Many people are receiving notices in the mail saying that they failed to pay a violation by a certain date, and if they do not pay it within a certain amount of days, they will have a $25 late fee and their vehicle registration may get suspended. And when the people are opening this letter stating that, the due date for many of them was prior to the date that they even opened the letter. So I think it's very important that we get clarification on the late fees, because people are calling and people are calling to contest their ticket and they're not getting a hold of someone when they call, and they cannot get a hearing online. And so we definitely need clarification on that, so where everyone is on the same page, because right now we're saying one thing and the vendor is sending the residents of the city of Buffalo something completely different from what we are telling them. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Wyatt.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm not going to make any excuses for this rollout. From day one, we asked to be a part of the rollout so that we can make sure that the things that were being done were something that the residents could appreciate, respect, and understand. It was rolled out poorly, and it continues to be rolled out poorly. On November 17th, we passed legislation to overturn the veto for it to be reinforced with moving beacons out and signage. Those things just recently happened almost a month later. We continue to get complaints about the vendor. I was on the phone yesterday with a resident who was angry that when she called the vendor called her back and made excuse after excuse. It's not our problem. Call the city, and was rude and hung up on the resident. This is not a company that we should be involved with, that we've had hundreds of people who are trying to get hearings, trying to figure out information, and this particular vendor says, it's not our fault, contact the city. But we want to make excuses while people continue to get tickets in the midst of a pandemic. Thank good that Congress has given them a $600 stimulus check. But most of that stimulus check is going to go to fines and late fees in the midst of a pandemic. I don't think it's unreasonable with only 5 schools open, sometimes 4, sometimes 1, to ask for this to be put on pause for the benefit of the people, but more importantly, that this vendor can get its game in order and this administration, because what has happened has been really a mess and there's so much confusion. So the focus is not on the safety of the children. The focus is now, I gotta pay this $50 fee. Should I pay the fee or should I get my medicine? Should I pay the fee or should I pay my rent? Should I pay the fee or should I let my car get repossessed, or should it get the registrations expired? So for those who sit and can conveniently worry about what people have done wrong when there's a whole lot has been done wrong, and to ask for a pause on this right now, I think is a fair and reasonable thing to request in the midst of a pandemic when many of the schools aren't even open. And so we can pause this thing and hopefully put it in place, and so that it's rolled out the right way, so people don't just feel out as though it's a money grab. Well, for this particular council member, it's not a money grab. It's never been about a money grab. But when someone asks me, why is the administration so dug in on this? I don't know. But let me ask you, why do you think they're so dug in? I don't know. I can't read their minds. But at this point in time, I think the council is doing the right thing in requesting a pause from the administration to go back and fix the problems that they've had, that we've been asking for over a month. Moving signage, moving beacons, making sure it's more visible for motorists, because we want the motorists to keep in mind they're entering a school zone and for the safety of children. If it's really about the safety of children, we should have many more signs. We should have more markers and crosswalks. In some of the areas where these signs are and where these beacons are, there's not even crosswalks. So when you tell me you're about safety of the children, I hope that some of the residents will go to these areas where there is signs, where there are cameras, and tell me what you see. Is it really about safety, or is it about $1? Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Councilmember Revere.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I've gotten calls recently about people who have gotten tickets and have tried to contact the department, and in trying to contact the department, the time has come and now there's an additional fee tied to that. If you go on the computer, you can pay your bill, but you can't contest it. You can't ask for a hearing on the computer. You can only do that if you mark it or if you call in. But there's no one answering the phones, and if you do, you get a voicemail. And by the time they get back to you, now you're in the late fee period. So I think they need to rectify that. Those people that have attempted to call and have not, and now they're in the late period, now there's additional fees. I think those fees should be voided because they have attempted. So I'd like to see why they can't even put that on the computer where you can challenge it on the computer instead of just by calling or just putting it on the ticket and sending it back. So they need to certainly clean this up a little bit, make it more user-friendly for the people that are going to be using it. Just doesn't seem that it's user-friendly. I don't know if it's the pandemic or it's because people are working remotely, but if they are working remotely, it'd be great if they can contact or return calls to many of these people, because now they're worried about the late fee on top of the fees they've already gotten. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wingo, you had your hand up? You have the floor.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate that, Mr. Chair. I absolutely agree with all of my colleagues on that. The program needs some serious renovation work. However, I'm going to look at this point on the resolution where we specifically say on the resolution to consider a pause on the execution of the contract. If, Mr. President, I know you sponsored this bill along with a couple of our colleagues. If this were to say, if we were to consider to put a pause on the ticketing of drivers and issue warnings until at such a time when we can all agree that this program has gotten all the kinks out, if this was no longer a revenue generator for this period, I could agree with a pause on the ticketing. So my entire point is so that folks can still get that reminder in their head or in the mail even that this program is active and that they need to be aware when they're driving to these zones. But I'm afraid, Mr. President, that if we pause this entire program, it's going to be harder for us again to restart this program. The data, since we're a council driven by data, the data shows us that, that's not my dog. The data shows us that when we went on that pause the last time, the compliance rate dropped almost 20 points, if not more than that. And then once we started the program back up again, the compliance rate continued to increase until cars at that point began to slow back down. Now, I don't know what this vendor's problem is. I'm not making up excuses for them. I don't know what their business practices are. I don't know what they're doing and not doing that's causing them to have so many problems. But what I am suggesting is that if this resolution could have read that we would request that we cease for a time charging folks $50 per ticket and just issue those warnings, but continue with the program so that we can iron out those issues, I think that would be a better route, Mr. President, because if we stop the program, that means we have nothing, no more data, no more information coming in as to what we can do to make the next program or hold the next vendor more accountable. So with that, I'm going to close up with my comments. I appreciate the time, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Just a couple of points of clarification. When I started talking, that's exactly what I said, is that that people would not be ticketed, but that we would continue to have school safety zones. I said the beacons could stay on, all of those things, but the contract is the cameras. It's not the speed zones. The contractor has nothing at all to do with this council or the administration's desire of where they put in. Matter of fact, it's really state law that drives these areas. So in order to stop the ticketing, you have to pause the contract or make some changes to it. I expressed to somebody the other day, you know, this is a business. If Ford Motor Company was getting handles on their cars that from a vendor that were falling off the car, you wouldn't keep on making a car and hoping that the vendor could get its act together. You say this vendor is not working, and if this vendor is a professional, is a professional company, for-profit company, and if it isn't producing, I don't think that the city of Buffalo should be trying to wait until this vendor gets itself together. The first thing that we heard was that it was a storm that delayed a bunch of tickets. Well, this was the longest storm I've ever seen. The storm must be still going on because people are still getting tickets late. I don't know, maybe it's a moving storm and it's stopping the mail in other places. And that's the reason now people are getting tickets late, because the storm. I have to be honest, I don't trust the vendor's data, because I am not at a place of trusting the vendor at this point. We have a contract with them, and I agree with my colleagues who talk about, the contract and making sure we're not putting this city in any liability. That point I agree. But at the end of the day, I agree more on the side of the constituents who placed me here, who are saying, I'm getting tickets, this program is not right. So I'm all for the school zones. Those don't go away. I'm all for the beacons being up and bright and blinking when they're supposed to be. Those don't go away. I'm all for moving the signs. That won't go away. And I'm also for what Councilmember Wyatt talked about is more other things that can be done. On my radio show Friday, the calls came in about putting even rumble strips as you're entering a school zone. Those type of things that the more we can do, and I want to be clear, I don't think anybody on this council is saying don't have school safety zones. And as far as police giving a ticket, most, I don't want to see speed traps. I think that would just be a knee-jerk reaction, like, well, we didn't get away with the camera, so now we're going to ticket people. If the administration decides that's what they want to do, that would be on them. It wouldn't be ordered by this council. But most of the time, when an officer gives a ticket for that, and I know in the past we have had some officers giving tickets for 6 miles an hour or something. It's those 60 mile an hour type of situation. And if you're going, and I think Councilmember Wingo mentioned this before, if you're going 60 miles an hour in a school speed zone or anywhere in the city of Buffalo, if you're not on 33, you deserve a ticket, and whatever consequences come with that. So I just wanted to be clear that this resolution is not about ending school speed zones because we can't. It is simply about saying, put the contract on pause because the contract is the cameras. So I hope that gives clarification. Councilmember Wingo?
Yes, it does give clarification. Thank you for your clarification. But I want to make sure that the community doesn't think that I was suggesting that we should end the speed zones either. I am absolutely unequivocally in support of school speed zones. I'm just inquiring of whether or not we can enter into a mode of the program like we had done in the past, where we only issued warnings versus issuing actual tickets with money penalties, monetary penalties. So that's what my request was. That's what my inquiry was about. It wasn't suggesting that we would terminate or end or eliminate school zones. No, sir. I agree with you. I just think that we should continue with a program, whether this with this vendor or not, but continue with a program that will continue to alert drivers in the mail, even with warnings that you are driving too fast in this area of the city that you drove through. This is why you got this warning or ticket or citation or letter in the mail. That's what I'm saying. And I think the cameras actually help with that effort. Now, as far as the data that the cameras are supplying to the city, I'm pretty sure that the commissioner told us already that they vet that information as well. So I'm hoping that folks are giving us the real raw data and not washed data. But having said that, I do agree. I was just hoping that the resolution, if it could have said something along the effects of not giving folks penalties that have money involved, giving them warnings, that's something that I can support. But I believe in my heart and wholeheartedly, and according to also what the data says, that we need to continue with a program, with this program, whatever program, so that we don't lose that compliance rate again. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. Anyone else? All right, so the motion is to adopt, send the remainder to legislation with Councilmember Wingo in the negative. Next item.
Item 50, holiday lighting on Niagara Street.
Motion?
Motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt, second by Councilmember Nowakowski.
Item 51, narcotics vice unit shift change.
Motion to send to CD.
Second by Councilmember Scanlon.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir. Councilmember Scanlon, you have the floor.
Thank you. It was brought to my attention last week that the Buffalo Police Department was discussing possibly moving their narcotics and vice units to a straight days format. And this item is a letter that I sent to the commissioner asking that he or someone else from his department appear at next week's Community Development Committee meeting. It's my understanding that they want to make this change sometime in mid-January, so I didn't want to hold it off until the next Police Oversight Committee meeting. I'd like to have them in next week to have a conversation. We've seen an increase in crime this year, and I'd like to have a conversation with them about the tactics they're going to use and the determining factors that are going to allow that they want to use to move these units to a straight days format. We've had conversations about this in the past when they were talking about moving detectives to straight days, and I think we were able to come together on an agreement on that. So I look forward to having someone come in next week and have a conversation about this.
Thank you, sir. Next item.
Item 52, Commissioner of Deeds.
Motion to adopt items 52 and 53.
Second by Councilmember Wingo.
Item 54, Salary Ordinance, Fire Budget Administrator.
Motion to approve.
Second by Councilmember Wingo.
Councilmember Bowman,
Yes.
Councilmember Farrelletto,
Yes.
Councilmember Golumback,
Yes.
Councilmember Noakowski,
Yes.
Council President Pridgen,
Yes.
Councilmember Rivera,
Yes.
Councilmember Scanlon,
Yes.
Councilmember Wingo,
Yes.
Councilmember Wyatt.
Yes.
Item 55, Ordinance Amendment, Chapter 479.
Motion to send to legislation.
Councilmember Wingo.
Mr. Chair, motion to revisit item 28.
Motion to revisit item 28, second by Councilmember Farrelletto. Items before us. Clerk, can you call that item?
Item 28, Food Store License 553 East Amherst.
Mr. Chair, I don't know if we sent this to committee or if we motion to approve this.
What was the motion on 28?
It was sent to legislation.
All right, can we have a motion to rescind that prior motion?
Motion to rescind the prior motion, second by Councilmember Golumback.
The current motion would be to approve.
Motion to approve, second by Councilmember Noakowski.
Councilmember Bowman,
Yes.
Councilmember Farrelletto,
Yes.
Councilmember Golumback,
Yes.
Councilmember Noakowski,
Yes.
Council President Pridgen,
Yes.
Councilmember Rivera,
Yes.
Councilmember Scanlon,
Yes.
Councilmember Wingo,
Yes.
Councilmember Wyatt.
Yes.
Ready? Announcements. Clerk.
Announcement of committee meetings. The following meetings are scheduled to be streamed live on www.facebook.com/BFLOCC. Committee on Civil Service, Tuesday, December 29th, 2020 at 9:45 a.m. Committee on Finance following Civil Service at 10 o'clock a.m. Committee on Rules, Tuesday, December 29th, 2020 at 11 o'clock a.m. Committee on Legislation, Tuesday, December 29th, 2020 at 1 o'clock p.m. And Committee on Community Development, Tuesday, December 29th, 2020 at 2 o'clock p.m.
Thank you. Council members, any announcements for your districts? Councilmember Wyatt and then Councilmember Golumback. Councilmember, Wyatt, you're muted.
Oh, just want to say Merry Christmas to all of our residents. I know it's been a tough year, but there is light at the end of the tunnel, and I hope they will stay vigilant and continue to be safe as hopefully this pandemic is wound down and destroyed. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any other? Who was the second one? Councilmember Golumback.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a reminder, the #1 phone call that I have received during this past week and probably for the next week, and Mr. Rivera and Mr. Farrelletto are probably getting these phone calls too. Garbage, recycling, Friday is moved to Saturday this week and next week. So there's no garbage pickup or recycling pickup this Friday, Christmas Day, or next Friday, New Year's Day. It's moved to Saturday. It's the only 2 times of the year that it gets moved. So I've been blasting it all over Facebook and social media and whatnot, but still getting calls. So just a reminder, it's no garbage on Friday. It's Saturday for the next 2 weeks. And as my colleague said, Merry Christmas to everybody as well.
Thank you. Councilmember Wingo?
Thank you, Mr. President. Would just like to wish again, express the same sentiments of my other colleagues. Merry Christmas to you, Council President. Merry Christmas to our President Pro Tem Scanlon, and Merry Christmas to our Majority Leader and to all of you other good-looking colleagues that we have on the Buffalo Common Council. I noticed earlier that there is a majority of us who wear beards. So a very Merry Christmas to us beard-bearing council members. But other than that, please, everyone be safe and enjoy your new year. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. And just for the record, Councilmember Nowakowski brought us gifts. So.
From the Broadway Market in the Fillmore District.
I just want to remind people out there who need rental assistance or mortgage assistance to call 211. We have a lot of people out there who are suffering. The dollars have not all been expended. And it is important, if you qualify, that you call 211. And I just say to people, don't think that these landlords are never going to want their money. Don't mess up your credit. Don't mess up all of that kind of stuff when there is help, possibly help available to you to make sure that you have a roof over your head. I know that there is a moratorium on evictions, but if you have the means to be able to get help, please get the help that is out there for you. I echo all of my colleagues who have wished everybody Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever it is that you celebrate, Kwanzaa, whatever it is that you celebrate, may you celebrate them safe. If there is nothing else, Majority Leader?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, second by Council Member who brought the gifts, Nowakowski.